All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Bin Masters Virtual Discovery Day. I know we had a couple more folks that were teed up to join us, but I never want to punish the punctual. Wonderful to have Ben and Marjorie on our session this morning. And we're going to go through and introduce our team, welcome you. We'll obviously have you guys introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit more about your background. Hugo and Dennis will go through the Bin Master story. How did we get to this great opportunity that's in front of us? And training and support, keys to success. And if it looks like I have a SMS fire drill or I seem to lose my attention, it's because Larry's truck is being delivered in San Diego right now. And I can't wait to share pictures with everybody. We're really excited about where we are. So with that, we got our video.
Oh, there's the rock music. Okay, I forgot. Hugo, why don't you give a little color commentary? What's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you guys are observing, this is our demo in Canada. So that's why you see like the pack mat letters on there. We do have Sean. We probably should replace it with some videos we took in Arizona. Just an idea like that. So what's nice about our technology is that you're seeing the roller deploying right there, and it's like the video doesn't show the real speed of the compaction. I think it's lagging a bit, but it's quicker. Basically, you don't have to. You're in the truck. You don't have to get out. There's just one maneuver, a button to press, so that your roller automatically deploys. So you don't even need to look at the camera to see what you're doing, because it will automatically position the roller like it is right now, so just above the container. And then you get into manual mode and you can start compacting. So what you're seeing right now is that the operator has full control on the joystick and he just rolls back and forth. And what's nice about that is once you're done with your compaction, you can just press the automatic cycle again and it will go park itself. It actually is going to raise, it's going to do like an auto clean mode. So it's going to roll a few times back and forth just to make sure there's no debris caught in the middle teeth. And then it's going to go park itself. The whole process takes 5-6 minutes. So much more quicker than any other trucks out there. The competition mainly is Smash My Trash and Crush It. They generally take twice, maybe 3 times the time we're going to take to get in a side crush and get out. So the technology makes it that you stay in the truck, you just back up. You have sensors to make sure you're square with the container, so that way you can't hit sideways the container. You can damage it. You see guards on the roller as well, so the middle teeth don't actually hit the container. Guards will hit it and it won't damage the container. So anyone thinking that this is damaging the container, they're wrong. Competition will damage it, and excavators will damage it much more. So this is made, think of it as a big elephant rolling inside a container. They are motors, electric motors inside the roller, and basically we just drop the whole weight. It's 3 tons, and the weight of the roller will do the rest of the job.
Thanks for the play-by-play, the assist on that, Hugo. And so I kick out with a video, right? A video is worth a million words. So we are the international leader in mobile waste compaction. I know international because we launched in Canada before we launched into the US. And real delighted to have our Canadian partners having paved that trail and had some great success that we're bringing and paying forward here in the States. So we've combined the innovation, patents, technology with the franchise rockstars Dennis to realize this. We do have a 100% electric fleet. We have that safe operation. Hugo highlighted, our drivers are staying in the cab, not getting out to manually run that compaction. Super efficient and typically 5 to 6 minutes. And, others are typically 14, maybe 15 minutes. We save our customers money, or drive efficiency, and we actually drive pretty significant carbon emission reduction. We'll walk you through some of those calculations here too. And we're 100% B2B. The only time a residential consumer might have a dumpster is probably they're getting it remodeled or doing a home build. So it's great that we focus on key verticals. When you look at our team and, again, we've got really industry excellence, technology drives our shared success. We've got Dennis Mulgannon is our founder and CEO. I'm our COO and co-founder of Bin Masters USA here with Dennis. And then we have Lawrence, Andre, Renee, Eric, and Hugo as our partners north of the border. They did an incredible job launching and scaling it. And also certainly our technology innovations. I'm going to update the screen share because Lawrence isn't able to join us today, but he recorded a great video that I want to be able to share and introduce Bin Masters from his perspective as they met Eric and Hugo and then launched Bin Masters at the outset. So.
Hi, everyone. How are you? My name is Lawrence Eid. I'm one of the founders of Bin Masters. Thank you for coming to our Discovery Day. Sorry I can't be there with you, but we thought the next best thing would be for me to introduce myself in a video and explain a little bit about why Bin Masters came to be. So my background, I'm a CPA at KPMG. I did my letters back in the day. Not your typical CPA, found that out pretty quickly, and ended up joining a small restaurant group, partnered in with some guys, and we grew that up to over 150 locations across North America, multiple different brands, mostly franchise, but corporate stores, had a vertical integration with our food manufacturing too, did a lot of food manufacturing that we distributed to those partners and did wholesale with. So had a lot of fun growing and really understood and became very, very enamored with franchising. And the reason was because you're giving opportunity to other fellow entrepreneurs. When I first joined and jumped into the business, it was very, very interesting to me, and it was very scary. And I'm sure many of you who are first-time business owners or looking to be first-time business owners have those same kind of heart palpitations. And I can tell you, there's nothing like it. It is fantastic. You are stressed all the time, but you are rewarded all the time. And when things succeed, it is a fantastic thing. Through my franchise journey, I became vice chair of the Canadian Franchise Association, and through that journey, met one of my fellow partners, Andre Morgo. COVID came, and I had sold my business at this point, and COVID had come around, and we were looking at different opportunities. Andre came to me and said, "Lawrence, let's look at these things. Like, we can license businesses from the US or from internationally. We can start our own. Like, what do you like?" And I think I made Andre a little upset because I was very, very, very particular in what I was looking for at that time. Coming out of the restaurant business, it is a very, very, very complicated business, as you can appreciate. And you are rebranding all the time. You are making new menus all the time. You have to be, on top of consumer trends and giving great experiences. And it's just a very, very complex business. Coupled with that, usually you have a landlord that is your boss. And that landlord can be nice or not nice. And during COVID, I definitely saw many, many landlords that were not super nice. So I told Andre, I do not want a business that has any landlord relationships. We looked at a lot. And we ended up seeing this amazing piece of equipment, as you can see in the background here, from a company called PacMat. And the PacMat guys you're going to meet today if you haven't already. And the equipment they've been using in France for quite a long time. And we said, wow, this is really, really interesting. Started learning a little bit more about the business economics of what a truck would do and the number of containers it could crush, and really looking at the economics of the waste management systems. And we said, wow, this is really, really, really cool. It's not sexy. Garbage is not sexy, but it's not going anywhere. We are a consumer-driven economy in North America, and we create a lot of waste. And that, as I said, that is not going anywhere. So we started looking at this and talking to them. Behold, they had just opened a factory in North America. They were just looking to expand, and we ended up partnering with our guys in PacMat and starting this business together. It's gone very well, and we're really looking forward to expanding with many of you and expanding into a lot of these territories. One of the really big drivers and what really interests me about this business, and I think is just a phenomenally rare but phenomenal thing for us, is it is truly a win-win-win business model. As a franchisee and as a business operator, we have solid unit level economics when we get growing. I'm sure Sean and Dennis will go through the performance with you and all that kind of stuff. As you see, we are able to drive a good, solid business model for our business owners. So that's a great win. Second win is the B2B model. So your clients and the people who are using this service also are winning. They pay a lot for their waste management, and it's a small line item on their P&L, but it's a significant line item in the sense that we can save a lot of it. So we come in and we can shave that line item, in half sometimes. They're spending $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month on waste management solutions. We can save that for them. We can save half that, just through compaction and just through not as many services that go out there. The third win, which I think some of you might be surprised to hear, is the companies like the Waste Managements or the GFLs or the big solutions, the big infrastructure businesses. You might think, well, they hate you. They would hate that you come in and take their revenue. And, Bob's local dumpster rental, he doesn't like us so much, maybe. Yeah, fair enough. But the big guys like us. And the reason they like us is all around asset utilization and asset optimization. Their bottleneck, the big guys, are trucks and drivers and pickups. That is why it costs so much. That's why they're charging a lot, because that is actually the valuable piece of the business. That's an expensive piece of service that they offer. For us, we come in and we can immediately increase their asset utilization. They don't need new trucks. They don't need new drivers. They can use the same number of trucks and drivers and go around and service more bins. Bins for them are not a problem. They can get bins out everywhere, but they can service them way more efficiently with the same number of people because of our service. So therefore, they don't have to make big investments in trucks. They don't have to make the labor investment in new drivers. They're able to just say, wow, we can expand and grow market share by having this service come in. So it's win-win-win, and it's fantastic. The thing I'm going to leave you with is, what is the challenge of this business? I'm coming into this, I'm putting myself in your shoes. I'm coming in as a Bin Masters franchisee. What's hard? What's hard for me? The hardest part of this business is finding the decision maker in your client who is willing to take it on and see that investment in their own business from using your service. That's the hardest part. Because like I said, this is not a big line item a lot of times in these businesses, P&Ls. It is an afterthought. They call this business, their warehouse manager says, oh, my bin's full, I'm gonna call and get it picked up. You have to break that cycle. And when you can break that cycle and show there's value there, that person wins, their manager wins, the CEO or the president, depending on the size of the business, will notice that and really appreciate that service. The benefit, the challenge that is to get over, the benefit of it is once you have broken that cycle and you're in there, now you're an afterthought. You're like the janitorial staff that come and clean the office every night or every few nights. That is just an afterthought. It's on the P&L and it's like, oh, I pay Susie's cleaning to come in. I pay Bin Masters as a part of my waste. Once you're in, we have amazing client retention because it is an afterthought and because the value is there. So these are all the things that excite me about the business. I think it's a fantastic model. I really appreciate all of you looking at this today and asking all your questions, and hopefully we have answers for them. Please ask a lot of the questions that you have of the team here. I hope that you have a great Discovery Day. And thanks again for looking at the opportunity.
Excellent. So I love having Lawrence do that intro, and I jumped ahead of everybody else. Hugo, I'm going to have you introduce, you and Eric.
John, your audio's rough.
What's
Your
that?
audio's rough. Your audio's rough. At least I'm hearing it breaking up a lot. Are you guys?
Yeah, it is rough.
Okay, cool. Andre, take this, and then we're going to have fun because I'll let Dennis go through the slides. I'll try to adjust my audio. So, Andre, would you mind, Lawrence gave a sneak preview, but it would be great if you can introduce yourself, and then Hugo round out the rest of the team and sort of go deeper with him and Eric momentarily.
Sure, I'll jump in. I mean, a lot of what Lawrence said shares a story from my perspective as well. My background is law. I've been in corporate law and franchise law for 2 decades, and just saw a lot of opportunity. And like Lawrence said, it was quite humorous. We would get on the call and we were exploring different things. You know, him or myself, like Lawrence, didn't see myself just doing law all the time. Had a sort of business itch, and we were looking for things to invest in, and we kicked the tires on a lot of different concepts until we came across Bin Masters, Hugo, Eric, and Renee, and we thought this is really a great concept. We liked it from a number of angles, the environmental elements of it, and just the efficiency, the electric truck now, it just all came together so well. And so we just continued to brainstorm, and then we found Dennis and Sean, and we thought this is great partnership, and we just built it from there. But I'm excited to be part of the team. Glad that you guys are here and ready to hear more about what you're interested in and what we can do as far as working together.
Thanks, Andrew. You want me to pick it up, Sean?
Let's see. How's my sound?
That's better.
Perfect.
Better.
All right, great. And then we've got Renee and Eric and Hugo. The reason we'll defer those introductions because we're going to go pretty deep into the background and the innovation of our trucks, and as well a little bit deeper background into Dennis and his experience in franchising, small business ownership, and scaling out things, and especially how that applies to Ben Masters. So before as we jump into that, would love again, as we welcome Marjorie and Ben to this session, to please introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what sort of piques your interest in Ben Masters, and some fun facts, something interesting or unique. And so, Marjorie, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, and then we'll go to Ben.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marjorie Mango. My last name is like the fruit, the silent T. Does sound very French, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually Eastern European. I don't know if that's the fun fact, but I came to Bin Masters kind of through a discovery process with kind of a separate company that sort of helps individuals find franchise opportunities. I wouldn't say that I necessarily consider myself to be an entrepreneur, but I have done kind of account executive work for about 20 years now. Mostly, I guess in the corporate world around HR consulting, kind of consulting with organizations around their employee well-being and mental health strategy. So a little bit different from what we're talking about here, but I know what it's like to be not a very sexy business, because mental health is something that people don't want to get near. Right now I've been doing it for about 20 years, like I said, and just trying to think about taking my career in a different direction. Interested in the idea of, being, my own boss, but also a little terrified at the same time. So, just kind of, this is how I came to the opportunity. I'm fascinated by how this truck works. I don't know who came up with it, but amazing. Trying to kind of just get as much information as I can about the opportunity and, see if I'd be a good fit here. So that's kind of me.
Excellent. And beyond your last name, you've got to have some fun fact or something interesting.
Let's see. I don't know. I have a pet turtle. I always think that's kind of random.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I have two boys, and yeah, I live in I'm based in New York, in the States.
Wonderful. Thanks. How about Ben?
Hello. I'm in the DC suburbs of Virginia, and I was originally a mechanical engineer. So I'm also interested in the design of the equipment. But I've mostly been involved in entrepreneurial endeavors. I worked at a startup in Pennsylvania for a while, making a product for pickup trucks, and then started my own remodeling business in Pennsylvania, and then continuing in DC. And I did that for over 10 years. So I was kind of burned out with construction, and I'm looking for a new opportunity. And I like Bin Masters because it's, well, I like two things. I like the business to business aspect, and then it's kind of a recurring income that's, once the clients are attained, like Lawrence was talking about, their retention rate's going to be high. And I also like the scalability of being able to add additional trucks as the business requires. And I don't have any pet turtles. The only thing I can think of, I went to space camp when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Very cool.
Cool. Well, thanks. And the other reason we love you guys introducing yourselves is to make sure that you are highly engaged, ask questions as we go through this. We're going to go pretty deep into the background and history of Bin Masters, the technology, and we're wide open here to help you learn a ton more about us. So with that in mind, really, we're going to jump into the story, how we got from that initial innovation to now launching. And again, we've got our second U.S. vehicle being delivered right here and now down in San Diego. So we're really excited. Hugo, I'd love to hand it over to you. If I skipped over introducing you and Eric because I can have you go through this slide and go deep into, as I say, the mad scientists of our team.
Yeah, well, yeah, we are a bunch of mad scientists. I'm the one that controls them to make sure that they don't have too many ideas. But yeah, a little quick history about ourselves. I guess I founded a company with my partner Eric back in 2014. We had this idea of just doing a robotic arm, and for garbage collection, and it ended up being like a full electric garbage truck. So we ended up doing more products like that. So we don't the full electric pack mat system is not like our first invention. So these are not prototypes. These are tested products that we did roll-offs, we did towings, we did garbage trucks. So we know which components to pick. We know which components that how to program them. So our engineering team is very familiar with our products. We know also that maintenance is very, very low on these type of electric products. Main reason why we went full electric is that, hydraulic leaks in the garbage world, they don't really tend to get along. So it's more than environmental because you're not actually consuming any diesel when you're operating. It's environmental also because you're not risking of having any hydraulic leaks. So back to PackMat, on the slide that you're seeing right now, you see a hydraulic version of a PACMAT that was invented in France by the company PACMAT System in 2001. So like in France, it's mandatory to have your landfill container in the municipality. It's mandatory to compact it before it leaves. If your container is not heavy enough, you can get a fine. Here, it's like the other way around. Curiously, we're always like 10 to 15 years behind Europe for these kind of legislation. So we know something's going to come eventually. And what's nice about compaction is that the governments are taking a lot of measures to reduce gas emissions. All these measures cost money, and municipalities have some options mandatory to reduce gas emissions, and it's very costly. This is the only solution that I've known that you actually save money while reducing gas emissions, because you just call Bin Masters, they show up, they compact, you've saved like a roll-off trip of maybe 50 miles. You can feel good about it, and you save money because you're not paying the extra for the roll-off. So what we did is that PACMAT System in France, we're trying to sell products in North America for like since 2005. They were trying to sell them like they sell in France, meaning like directly to municipalities, and it was tough because they didn't think about selling to people that would offer the service, which is a great concept. That we thought, well, we knew Smash My Trash was there. We knew that their product was not good. And, the reason why I'm saying it's not good is because they're using a German compactor that had to go around the PACMAT patent to actually be able to compact. So you have this big cabin that needs to translate from the cabin, from the cab to the back. It's more expensive. The roller doesn't do like the same compaction that ours does. So we saw a great opportunity in selling PACMAT in the US, and we sold many hydraulic version in the past 5 years. And when COVID hit, there was a lack of diesel chassis, but we knew Lion, which is not too far away from us here in Canada, they're about like an hour and a half from our plant. We thought, well, let's make the whole thing electrical. I mean, it was easy for us to just convert the hydraulic system into a full electric system. So we redesigned the whole thing. We have a patent on it, and I know for a fact that it's a patent on a mechanical movement. You cannot patent a full electrical process, but still, people don't know that, and I think this is a great protection for any other franchisees to be copied from anyone. So what's nice about that, Lion had chassis in stock, so we were able to produce a couple of units or prototypes and operate them in our Bin Master fleet in Quebec. So we have a fleet of like 2 electric and 4 diesels that are going around Montreal and Quebec City. And I mean, we were trying to prove a concept that it was a good, successful business. And it was so good that we just decided to add trucks and more trucks. And now we're planning on having maybe 10 by the end of this year because it's a very successful business. So we were kind of happy that this innovation turned out into a great business model that could be easily exported into the US. When I'm saying exported, we're like 15 minutes away from the border, so we're just crossing, and we're in Vermont, so it's like if we're in the US. So far 2 units were delivered. Very proud of this. We've been supporting these guys so far. Not even like a single failure on our system. So very proud of that. So any questions you have, would be my pleasure to answer it. I know there's a mechanical engineer on the call right now. I'll be more than happy to try to answer all your questions.
Thanks, Hugo.
Great.
Yeah,
You can nerd out.
as you can,
Great.
and as you can see, the pin drops are where we're opening here in the U.S., where we launched last month in Tucson, and then San Diego. Again, I won't shut up about the fact that the truck's there today. Reno's coming up next, and followed up, Erica's going to be opening up there in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So lots of great territories. We'll go a little bit into the territory stuff in just a few minutes. Is my audio okay on that note?
It's about, yeah, it's
It is.
clean.
I sort of battle of the Bluetooth. I'm sure everybody has faced that. So Hugo, you talked a little bit about the history of the product and the innovation. You want to sort of hit this real quick and talk about what it built up to? I think you hit it fairly high level on the other side.
Yeah, sure. I'll go quick on this one. In Europe, the most popular products are the ones that stay on site. So you can see the self-propel pack mat. There's an electric and a diesel version. Those are for landfills that have many containers. But here in the U.S. and Canada, we see that even if there are landfills that have a high concentration of containers, people still tend to go with a vehicle with a pack mat on it for many reasons. I guess first, it's you can get funding because it's on a vehicle. Most of the chassis dealers will actually fund, I should say, finance the whole equipment plus chassis. And so, to be honest, we never sold a single self-propel pack mat in North America because people tend to go with the roll-up version, which is the one right on top, or like the full either the PX 601, the full electric version, or the diesel version mounted on a truck. I do have to mention these are below 26,000 pounds, so you don't require CDL to actually do that. So the evolution of the pack mats, what's interesting is that I would say 95% of our sales are going to be with pack mat mounted on Class 6 trucks, while in Europe it's going to be only 5% of their sales. So it's the other way around.
Thanks. And then, as we mentioned, right, we also have Dennis Mulgannon, our co-founder and CEO, really proven track record of success. Dennis, would love for you to jump in and dive into what you've done and how this pays forward with Bin Masters.
Yeah, I'll start with I'm agnostic when it comes to the type of business. I get pitched 20, 30 times a year by companies that want me to look at franchising them and building them out from generally a single unit operating somewhere in the U.S. And I have a very, very strong vetting process in what I take to market. I try not to fall in love with the concept because I've got to figure out, can I pick it up and scale it across the country, regionally, nationally, and sometimes internationally. So I go back to 2000. Last 18 years, I've had a pretty good run here. Started with home care assistance and senior care, Junking, Flylock, which is now the nation's largest commercial locksmith security integration company, WaveMax, which is now the nation's largest laundromat chain, Nerds2Go, which is mobile IT services, Surface Experts, one of the fastest growing service businesses in America, children's art classes, Vertica Fitness, and now Bin Masters. None of them are interchangeable, meaning they're all in different sectors. The closest thing to Bin Masters would be Junking. So I do have some background, but when I take a concept to market, I really don't know the concept itself, right? I haven't been operationally in that business. So my partnership, who I'm surrounding myself with in terms of the partnership, they're the subject matter experts on that. My job is to create a systemized way of being able to put somebody into a small business and help them grow and scale, and building those systems out to support it. Bin Masters, they approached us about 18 months ago. We started talking about it. It took us about 6 months to come to a deal. In terms of bringing it into the market, we had known about Smash My Trash and Crusher having success selling franchises, but not success operationally, and they had a lot of logistic challenges. So we knew that going into it, what we would be facing. And what we did is we built and brought into America a better mousetrap. The electrification side, all of the greenhouse gas, everything associated with this brand is just positioned perfectly. We're in startup mode still, so let's not kid ourselves. We've got 4 franchisees. We're going to be looking to expand somewhere between 1 and 2 a month over the next 18 months. And but you're already looking at version 2.0 of us. We've gone through some of the rough patches in terms of getting the business ready, but we feel like we've really got it down, and it's cycling really, really nicely right now. And Marjorie, I heard, you said you're scared to death, or, the fear. Trust me, you're not on an island by yourself. I have over 1,300 franchisees that I put into my systems. Everybody goes through those emotions, and it's a roller coaster, trust me. And the key is, when something starts making sense to you as a business, whether it's Bin Masters or another, concept, and you probably came to us from the Entrepreneur Source, which all my brands are their #1 brands, just so you can verify that within their systems. They're our greatest lead source. We've had a 18-year relationship with them. They're fantastic. But I think this business is really well built, whether you want to come in head first, be fully operational, be in the business every day, but we're also built well for semi-passive because of the low employee count. The driver is the salesperson for the most part, can be. So this business is really well built if you want to maintain your current career and then transition into this long term. So we think we're really well positioned in the marketplace right now, and welcome.
Thanks, Dennis. So, of course, as we jump into it, our mission at Bin Masters is to establish a nationwide network of prosperous owners. Right? Our focus is to foster your growth and your development while delivering sustainable waste management solutions. And in doing so, we aim to enhance profitability and provide exceptional value to our customers. It always bores me when somebody reads a slide to people, especially such a verbose one, but this is really at our core what we're doing and what we're doing with our owners. And with our vision is to be a leader in the waste management industry, being recognized for our commitment to environmental sustainability, innovation, and prosperity of our franchise network. We aim to inspire a future where businesses nationwide prioritize efficient waste management solutions, contributing to a greener, cleaner world. So you'll see in everything we do with Bin Masters is on efficiency, cost savings, and fundamentally prosperous partners and franchise owners, and what we do with you to drive that success. As Dennis mentioned, and we sort of shared his background and that scaling, each and every one of those started with those early adopters and then grew to nationwide success. And I probably shared with you in our intro call a neat thing, it's like, hey, let's not kid ourselves. Early adopters, frankly, you have a seat at the table. You help influence as we're at version 2.0. What does version 3.0 look like? How do we grow into national accounts, have better market penetration, scale and build that? We're going to go through a ton of our tools and techniques, everything we bring to the table. And we're really fortunate to have wonderful owners around us who are now even taking that and lighting that up even more. So when we look at core values, right, again, a little bit more about us and who we are and who we want as franchise partners, as owners. Really to serve others, really putting relationships first, always acting with integrity and being humble. Be problem solvers, right? Be curious, work smart, constantly improve, and trust the process. What we're going to walk through, some of these highlights today are really A, then B, then C, wash, rinse, repeat. What is our go-to-market strategy? How do we light that up? How do we quickly scale up to where, okay, it's time to add vehicle number 2, vehicle number 3, and really execute on that on a clear, consistent manner to grow and scale out your own business. So, as we jump in to the opportunity, is nationwide, frankly, we pre-mapped the entire country, and there's only 291 territories available. Each of those is comprised of at least 3,000 qualified businesses based on their NAICS or NAICS code classification. That's North American Industry Classification System. Our big customers are construction, manufacturing, wholesale trade, and transportation and warehousing. There's definitely other prospective customers. There's municipalities, airports, shopping centers, but these are really the big 4. And that's how we mapped and modeled our business. And they're all protected. So you'll never have that worry or challenge of having another nearby Bin Masters owner sell or service into your protected territory. And then, building on that, right, what is that key market insight that enables us to really grow and launch and thrive as we go into markets? And fundamentally, good or bad, waste management is a huge and growing industry. Gosh, we produce a lot of trash. It was valued at $208 billion, yeah, with a B, back in 2019, and projected to hit $230 billion by 2027, with an annual growth rate of 5.3%. And then when we look at just that one industry, that construction, back in 2018, they produced 600 million tons of construction and demolition debris in the U.S. alone. So this is a good place to be in. Again, we're producing more and more trash. And if we can go in and ultimately do a few compactions, thus eliminating a few hauls, we're saving our customers money, we're improving their operational efficiency, and we're good for the environment. And Hugo, I'm gonna let you hit this slide because you always beat me up because I am conservative on my numbers. So you've lived this a lot longer. Would you mind hitting this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, we also write the numbers conservative as well. I guess, you know, we don't want to. We like to like under promise and over deliver. For example, you see that wood is, you know, it's saying that you should be saving 40 to 50% of volume. In reality, it's more 80 to 90%. When you have like container full of pallets, you can just refill that baby like 10 times before you actually need to haul it. You might have a chance to talk with one of our operator that does Discovery Days as well. He's called Paul. Maybe you already talked to him. I'm not sure, but he's going to tell you stories of, you know, how they were able to dismantle the whole house in one container because there was a packman on site and we're just like compacting all day. So typical material that you'll be seeing, recycling is going to be one. It's really one of the easiest thing to compact because, you know, boxes are full of air. I guess we can do everything except maybe concrete and brick. So, and you know, anything with hazardous conditions. But compost, construction, garbage, recycling, and wood, consider at least 50% of savings. It's going to be more than that if you educate the customer to call you when it's 2/3 full. You come back once, you come back a few days after. When it's full, you come back again, and then you can come back one more time. This is like how you optimize your compactions. So yes, I mean, we do have conservative numbers, but we're not afraid to say that, you know, we can actually go up in that. We do that because we don't want to. There are many regulations about the weight limit of a container. On, like, for example, in Quebec, doing thawing periods, you cannot carry over like 10 tons. So this is one of the reasons why we try to keep a little. We're a bit conservative on this, but you can go up. Next slide. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I think, Hugo, you're on a great roll, right? Why choose to compact?
Why choose compact? Absolutely. From state to state, from province to province, there are many different hauling routes that can be taken. And what, like us, we're in an area that's still pretty dense, like the Montreal populated area. Any containers that we picked, it's at least 40 miles of going one way direction to find a landfill to dispose the material. So it's 40 miles back if you're bringing back an empty container. So huge impact on gas emissions. I mean, these roll-off trucks, they have 12 wheels. They consume diesel. Your pack mat will have only 6 wheels. So even though it's a diesel version, it's, you know, you're still saving a lot of gas emissions because you're not consuming as much as a roll-off would. And, you know, once you live it, and once they, for example, a construction site sees that, how not only he's going to save money, but, you know, here's the cycle of a roll-off dumping a container on the site. Well, he's bringing an empty one, so he needs to drop it somewhere, probably like in the middle of the brick guy that doesn't want the container to be there. He's going to be blocking like an excavator. He's going to be blocking someone else. He's going to be yelled at while he's picking up the full container. Then he needs to drop it somewhere else. to bring the empty one at the same spot and then pick up the full one again and leave. So it's a process that can last for a couple of hours. And, you know, people are just tired of having these haulers coming on construction site and slowing down the whole process of the construction site. So pack mats are welcome on the sites. They're happy that we're there. We're also able to lower lineups at eco centers and landfills where citizens go put their stuff. You know, if you go, we have contracts during summer times that the lineup of people would wait maybe for 2 hours to actually be able to access a container and dispose of their home garbage. With a pack mat on site, the lineup disappears. I mean, we just so efficient that we just so we do like extra special. This is something you can put in your business model. You know, offer like a Saturday of compaction. They'll pay you lots of money for you to be there. So we have these arrangements with eco centers. So definitely it goes above just reducing the hauling. Short story, we have a customer that has 18 containers. They're producing boats, so it's a material that's very light and can be compacted easily, but there's a lot of waste in production. By being there, so we go every morning, they went from 18 to 5 containers. So they got rid of 13 containers. They built like a outside kitchen for their employees with the extra space that they gained. So again, something that you don't only think of, but you're creating room when you compact at warehouses and manufacturing companies. So, and you know, who knows what else we're gonna find. So it's a great adventure to start, and we learn every day. I mean, you know, people in Tucson and San Diego, they will give us new business case. So it's nice to have this hub of information that we can share, and even customers we can share. I mean, we have Costco here. We're an official Costco supplier. So if you guys ever go up to Costco, well, Bin Master is already registered, which is nice.
Awesome. Thanks. And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't show a handful of before and after. Certainly, we've got library of this. We take pictures of all of our compactions. So when we talked about that efficiency, you can see these dumpsters going from full to, you know, frankly, 20, 30%. It's going from full down to like 10%. Again, that would. And really in our sales and engagement with customer side is, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Actually rolling in and doing a demonstration compaction, that just blows their minds. Hugo will attest, like when we were out there in Tucson, was all of a sudden we've got a crowd. We've got a crew like, oh man, you got to come and see this bad boy. Check out what it's doing. And it looks neat, but then the results are the key thing. As we highlighted in that last slide, you know, most of the space in an open top container is full of air. And what we ultimately do is go and eliminate that air and drive cost savings and efficiencies. I talked earlier about the carbon emissions savings, and you know, Hugo also built upon that and looking at that, the math behind this, and by all means you can slice and dice and throw it into Excel, etc. But the average dumpster here in the U.S. is hauled 50 miles round trip. So average CO2 emission of those big rigs is about 3 to 4 pounds per mile that they're throwing into the atmosphere. So if you think we're eliminating that round trip, then we're driving savings of roughly 150 to 200 pounds per compaction. And so if we look at just a single bin, if it's hauled weekly and we come in and we eliminate about 2 of those hauls, then we can drive for that one bin 3.75 tons of CO2 emissions. That's huge. And especially in this day and age where we have these ESG goals and other cap and trade type of programs, being able to drive that directly to our customers is really important. One of the customers that we worked with out in Tucson, they actually have now, it's the nation's largest privately held home builder, and they have a director of environment and sustainability. And that role didn't exist in big companies 10 years ago. And now it does. And Matt came out there with us, and when we pulled onto that site, so they're building new homes, they have one dumpster for every 2 homes that they're building. And so as they're building it, and Ben, you come from that GC background, you know the amount of demolition and debris that comes off of new home builds, drywall, extra 2x, et cetera. And each of those is currently hauled on a weekly basis. They're building 500 homes. So in time, they estimate they're going to have about 100 dumpsters on site at any given point. And you can imagine we drive this to that 3.75 tons per bin savings. We're going to have directly attributable, calculatable, and reportable metrics on their environmental impact. And that's a key input for that customer. For some customers, right, as we're launching up in Nevada, it's not as important. But I know Sean McCaffrey, right, today, actually, he's at the Tesla plant, pre-selling what we're doing. Tesla, these CO2 emission savings are huge. Some of the other manufacturers out there, hey, it's a cherry on top. It's sort of bonus of bringing Ben Masters to the business because we're driving cost savings. And you might recall, as we're going through our discovery, when we look at, this is just a sample market, looking at yours. I know, Ben, we've gone through, I think I shared the maps. If I didn't, make sure I do, is in your market, we're looking at who are those qualified businesses. What's that count at that broad brushstroke? In this example, they've got 3,125 qualified businesses across different industry segments. Key message that we learned from our Canadian partners is once we get up to about 70 or 75 customers, is we're probably maxing out a truck. We're doing 15 to 18 compactions per day. And so if you think about that, if I only capture, in this case, like 2.4% of the total addressable market of that 3,125, I max out a vehicle. I note this because all of our territories are really designed to be able to scale up to at least 4 vehicles. And up in Quebec, they just took delivery of their 5th vehicle. So we don't know what that cap is. But if you just say, okay, we got 3,000 in my market and I capture a mere 75, I'm maxing out a vehicle. If I capture 10% of that TAM, I've got a high-performing fleet of 4 vehicles. I know, Hugo, you go off camera just as I want you to tag in and highlight that. But really, what are the core electric benefit vehicles? First is, the medium-sized truck. It's a Lion 6. Got a range, about 120-mile range. Real important. People always ask, like, oh, no, we got that range anxiety. Our typical operation for a fully loaded vehicle up in Canada, they do about 50 to 60 miles per day. So we're not really worried, because if I'm doing that full 120 miles, then I'm not able to get 15 to 18 compactions. It's about optimization, route optimization, and not going 10 miles between customers, but going a quarter mile, a couple blocks, a couple of miles. And so again, we see typical day is about 50 to 60 miles. A real important thing is it doesn't require a commercial driver's license to operate. And whereas, Hugo and Lawrence highlighted is with the big haulers, their big rigs, they do require that CDL. And so we can actually help them drive efficiencies in their fleet because we can hire non-traditional truck drivers. We also have different federal and state grants. The super easy one came in with the feds when they passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It's a tax rebate, but it is end of year, not upfront and on vehicle sourcing and procurement. And then on the higher end is we've got our, like here in California, it's 142 in rebates going directly to the procurement of the vehicle. And then we have typically, it's about a 3 to 4 month delivery time. I think Hugo and crew are bringing that down. So think of that from the time you become an owner. The great thing is we've got a launch plan and a scaling plan and activities to be in progress while the vehicle is being manufactured and upfitted so that when it's delivered, we're hitting the ground, as I mentioned with Larry, fully running. And the savings, Hugo's had both the diesel and electric. You want to hit those savings on diesel versus electric, Hugo?
Sean, can I jump
Yeah.
in for a second first before Hugo, real quick? Marjorie had to drop off. We knew that she could only be here an hour today, so we'll send her the recording. But Ben, so when we launched this, we brought part of our financing from the SBA. We have obviously a lot of relationships doing this for so long. So we had Citizens Bank put together a package through Acclivity, which is their SBA lender arm. And we have an amazing financing program where you can come in with 10 to 20% down. Let's say the entire project cost, truck acquisition, working capital, everything's around $500,000. You're able to come in with 10 to 20% down, and it's a 10-year note financing tied out to the franchise agreement also. And it could be prepaid too. If you start having success, you want to buy down your note. But all of our franchisees have gone through that program and been approved. So the financing's in place for this. If it turns out to be what you want to do, just want to make sure you knew that.
Cool. Hugo, you want to talk about benefits of the diesel versus the electric?
Yep. So from place to place, there are grants. I mean, here in Quebec, it's pretty generous. So buying a classics electric truck is pretty much the same price as buying a diesel truck. Some states will have, like California, will have interesting grants. There is at least a 40K tax credit available. If you have no grants at all, there is at least 40K that is up for reimbursement. Even though if you have no grants at all, the business case is still good to buy an electric. The return on investment will be a bit longer, of course, but it's still interesting because you don't put diesel anymore. These are huge savings. If I do the math quickly, it's at least $25,000 to $30,000, even more of diesel you're not putting at all. Yes, you need to put electricity, which is much more cheaper, and your charger usually is part of the package of your financing plan, so you don't have to buy it like day one to pay the entire amount. I mean, so worst case scenario, if you buy a full electric truck without grant, you're probably looking at a 2 to 3 years return on investment for a machine that will last longer. And this, I'm not even considering maintenance is going to be much more lower on these machines because you don't have any more hydraulics. Just hydraulic fluid replacement can be quite expensive. Replacing hoses every couple of years can be expensive as well. Filters. So these are maintenance-free motors that we use, brushless DC motors. So the only real parts you're going to have to replace are a few wear items you're going to have on the truck. So you have great warranties from the chassis manufacturer on the batteries and the chassis. So everything is like all these business models are similar. Like our electric truck was inspired actually by Tesla, where you don't really have to go to the garage to do like an inspection or maintenance. Those are just like lifelong lasting components. So yeah, I think that sums up the advantage of having electric over hydraulic.
Thanks, Hugo. And Ben, this is now the Ben show. So we'll go into some other key things, but if there's any questions, please tag in. We want you to be part of the core presentation. Dennis, if you would, love to have you sort of share our 2024 key goals.
Yeah, I mean, when I launch a new brand, I don't want to go sell 40 in the first year. I mean, that's great from a cash flow perspective, but we want to incrementally ramp up. And the whole key to launching a new franchise system, again, this is my 10th, is the early adopters. They are such critical relationships because they really make or break a brand. Your first 10, 12, partners, they got to be rock stars. We've got to have a better communication, more communication, better relationship, not better, but just more intimate, because you're really, you're a trailblazer as being one of the first into the marketplace. And I've had to find those people with every single brand I've launched, right? Nobody wants to be first. Well, we had a first in Tucson, and we have a second, a third, and a fourth. So, you know, as we grow, I always look at 8 to 12 franchisees in the first year, and then go from 12 to 16, and then we allow the growth because we've really figured it out, right? And we're now a systematized process that we can really open quickly. And the simplicity of this model really helps that too, that we know our growth can be very dramatic once we're ready for it. So we're looking at roughly 10 this year, I would say. We're going to be looking at doing regional partnerships in terms of, you know, the big waste haulers, the Waste Managements, the Republics, Waste Connections, starting to build those. Even though they're global companies, they're not in every single market across the country. We have to identify who they are. We're going to be helping to engage those relationships that trickle down to the local franchisees. And if you ended up opening, we're obviously going to focus in your market. We have a, you know, that's where we'll be. And that's the major haulers too, which we've had some premature conversations with them, but we weren't ready. I told everybody, look, I don't want to have those conversations with those guys till we have trucks on the road, right? Now we can do proof of concept. Like when I launched Junk King, you know, 13, 14 years ago, and about 2 years in, we were able to do a pilot program with Home Depot. And it was all the Home Depots in DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth market, and there were like 72 of them. That program went very smooth, and then we were able to bring it out to the rest of the nation, and Junk King became the exclusive hauler for all the Home Depots across the country, a major win for everybody. And you know, our differentiators, it's really clear, and that's one of the beauties of this business, that the customer gets it. But the awareness of the service is probably only about 20% of the marketplace even knows this service exists. And like when I told my kids my new brand, the new business I was taking to market, I simplify. I go, look, you guys, where do you put the garbage? They go, oh, we put it in the trash compactor in the kitchen. I go, right. And you don't have to take it out as often because it compacts it. There's the whole business model. I mean, really, it is a KISS principle business. And then all the benefits of what we're doing with, you know, carbon emissions, with the savings, you know, it's all really well defined and easily understandable. I'm not a SWAT guy. I am a KISS guy, and I don't apologize for it. I like it. Hey, here's the core of what we do, and here's what you need to understand. So.
Excellent. And we've touched on this a little bit, and I know, Ben, we've talked about this directly. You know, when we look at, you know, competition in the marketplace, here's our key differentiators. Is first and foremost, we have a 3-ton roller. The others are lighter, in 1.4, 1.7 tons respectively. We also have a, you know, that exterior equipment protection ring. Hugo talked about that earlier, so we can't damage the bin. Also, piggybacking on that, we have full cab-based automation. So when we roll in, we've got the 3 cameras. The driver controls the compaction from the cab. It's perfectly aligned. It's engineered for the width and length of those bins and really streamlined from that perspective. And then we've got the Class 6, the Lion 6. So CDL is not required. Again, I highlight driver stays in the cab. That's a huge differentiator for us from an efficiency side, as well as, frankly, insurance, slip and fall, all those kind of things with our customers. And really having PacMat as a partner rather than a supplier is a huge differentiator. Their chief engineer, Dart, for example, was there on site with us along with Hugo with the Tucson launch, and is coming down next week or week after for San Diego. And having that side-by-side relationship, partnership, versus, say, just a supplier is really big and beneficial to us. All of those things come together to drive, you know, we're more efficient. We do better compactions, typically about 40 to 50% more, and it's about a third the time of the competition. So for that little 20% subset of the marketplace that does know that our service exists, fantastic. As Dennis said earlier, we're bringing a better mousetrap. But the other 80% that has never even heard of this, or they're using a backhoe to compact or doing other things, you know, the world is our oyster to go out there and grab and develop. So any questions on that before I jump into sort of, what's our launch plan, training, systems, tools, support?
Oh, I'm
Cool.
good for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. So, you know, really it really starts with that onboarding. We talk about typically about 90-day launch, and we get busy day one. Early on is that business ownership training. I think, Ben, as you've been that serial entrepreneur, some of this you'll springboard right through. Others came out of the corporate world. They've never been a small business owner. So we help go through some of those baby steps. We do 2 days on site at our facility. I think I'm going to strike through that because we're doing on site training at your location. No reason and need for you to go up to Montreal. We're putting into action all of our sales and business development and those things. Lots of stuff is done virtually to get us ready. And then like Paul is going to be there in San Diego Monday night. So, and be boots on the ground all week, putting into action everything we've trained on up to this point, but that real world live training. Doing that same thing with the on-site training of driving the vehicle. Our vehicles, I openly share, if you can trailer a boat or drive an F-250, you're in good shape. You can drive our vehicles. They're actually easier to operate. A heck of a lot easier than backing my boat into the lake. And then again, that launch in your territory, and then coaching and support and nurturing. When we look at that overall launch plan, really looking again at that 12 weeks and having the vehicle there on site is start the sourcing, select when are we doing that real core training, get the legal entity open, licensing, permits, insurance, find a place to park the vehicle. Talked a little bit about that. You know, my favorite place to park a vehicle is customer site, but we know we don't have customers yet. So we need to have that temporary storage at our traditional boat and RV parking or light industrial space, you know, where food trucks go to park after hours. Dennis also highlighted we do have recommended insurance plan and broker in hand, so that's somewhat turnkey and streamlined for you. Then we start our prospecting and pre-training. We're going to go into a lot more details on that in just a moment, and sort get all of our print collateral, get LinkedIn updated, website, and if you choose to hire a driver to drive your vehicle, onboard them ahead of having it delivered, and then we do the infield sales, and then launch your business. So again, we're super excited as we've had great success in Tucson, launching in San Diego, and that was Larry was just calling me, so can't wait to see how that's going this morning. We also, as part of what we bring to you, is really that full end-to-end integrated customer management solution, where we have our account management, business development, scheduling, our dispatch, real routing and route optimization, service management, billing, reporting, taking payments, etc. It's all web-based. The solution is also, our drivers will have it phone-based, so web and app-based. So it really streamlines all of what we do in the field and back in the office. Other key thing is that comprehensive go-to-market strategy. And we have leveraged AI and ZoomInfo, bringing really the best of both worlds together to help scale and grow your business faster. Identify who are the right customers. Importantly, who is that decision maker within that customer, and having that contact, that drip campaign, and then that in-person introduction to our customers as we're launching into a market. As you can see, this is I need to get a new screenshots for this. Bluntly, we've really partnered with PacMat and the crew and our Under Pressure marketing team to automate the tedious part. Is where do I have dumpsters? And identifying who are my A, B, and C type customers. I'll hit this in a moment, but really A customers have 3 or more bins that are hauled on a weekly basis. My Bs have 1 or 2 hauled weekly or every other week, and my Cs are everyone else. And so streamlining this approach to going in and identifying who has dumpsters, what's the count of their dumpsters, and then taking it that next step to identify who is that company, stratifying that, and then identifying, okay, who's that decision maker, and drilling in this case, Thomas Martinez, president level. We're also looking at like who's the CFO, who's his facility operations manager, and getting some of these insights. You can see these little fire icons. Great. As you know, right, with Google and cookies and tracking, they know so much about us, and this is our opportunity to take advantage of all that data, analytics, and insight so that we can use that in our streamlined go-to-market approach. It's super exciting, and I'm way up to my eyeballs in that with Larry, Aloho, and Sean, and living that every day. It's really exciting. Dennis, I'm going to let you take keys to success.
Yeah, and this is, the statements I'm about to make are really uniform to doing this for a long period of time, building 10 brands, having over 1,300 franchisees in my system. And this is more kind of know thyself, right? It's putting the mirror up and understanding who you are, what your capabilities are, what your motivations are. But I've always seen this with every single brand, is that I always have about 20 to 25% overachievers, 60-65% achievers, and lucky for me, less than 10% underachievers. And I'll kind of describe the three. Overachievers are simply people that realize talking to 20 people a day versus 10 about their business, they're going to grow faster. So they're natural marketers, or they hire well for that role, right? Somebody that's going to market and execute and follow the plan. My achievers are most people. That's generally folks that don't have an entrepreneurial small business ownership background. They've been in corporate America, but they're going to follow that business in a box methodically and have great success too. They're just a little bit slower of a ramp up. The overachievers, the only difference between the two is they're just, pedal to the metal. They're natural marketers, or they hire well for that position, and they grow faster. My underachievers are folks that tend to try to, they can't follow a system, I guess is the best way to say it. They try to change everything. I mean, we're looking for contribution, absolutely, especially early in a new growth brand, but they just can't follow a system, or the fear stifles them and they just can't move and they don't execute. It's a very small percentage, but those folks do exist. And of course, we spend 80% of our time on those folks in all my brands versus, because we got to right their ship, right? We got to work to right their ship and get them going. But this is really how it plays out. Keys to success really, truly are.
And I just mentioned, as you can tell, Ben, we all go off script. We don't just walk through what's in the sequence of our decks. And how do we enable that? And when I talk about trust the process, we've developed the tools and the approach to where, and again, you've been a serial entrepreneur and have launched other businesses. Try to take the guesswork out of it, and also not go to bed every night like, oh my gosh, I've got so much to get done. By all means, we customize this with you, and really looking at, what's our core Monday through Friday schedule? What do we need to tactically and strategically execute on? And then how does that play into our daily scorecards, whether it's you or with a salesperson, and building that out and really saying, okay, great, here's who I'm doing drop-ins with, who I've identified that they do have dumpsters. Now we schedule a sample compaction. And then did we sit down with them and review their bill? That's a key thing, that we review their waste hauling bill and give them a quote. And in that quote, we share, what's your estimated savings? What are we going to charge you? And not just your cash savings, but those CO2 savings that we're going to drive by using our services. And this, again, a lot of stuff to take in, but really helping sort of streamline it and say, here's what I need to do. And we see that, I think, Aaron, one of our colleagues from Surface Experts, she really taught us this, and agree, and we pay this forward and everything, is it's very much like, riding a spin bike, right? Getting the pedals, getting that spin wheel, that flywheel in motion, and then you keep on rolling and roll faster, go up hills, down hills, streamline that, versus looking at that going, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to do. And so these are some, just tools, tricks of the trade, things that we bring to help really streamline what you do. Also on the sales activity, and very similar to that owner goals. One of the things that we're doing in Tucson that really excites me, and Ben, you and I might have talked about this, is when we launched in Canada, we launched as owner operator. We launched more semi-absentee, where they hired a driver and hired a salesperson. And we're really doing this happy medium that I think is a really nice go-to-market play in Tucson, where Eloho's hiring a driver salesperson, somebody that can drive the vehicle and do the sales, rather than having two bots to pay wages. Having that one who can be dynamic and engaged and do those sample compactions and drive that. He does have a full-time job. He's a director at Microsoft, so he's pretty heavily loaded. Versus, Larry, literally, I'm delighted. Hey, Hugo and Dennis. Vehicle is in his physical hands. He's got the keys.
right.
They've done the handovers.
All right, good
They've
stuff.
done the walkthrough, the training. Ben, that's always an exciting milestone for us. So I'll have the pictures in just a moment. But that's one of the great things Lion does is a part of that delivery. They go through, they train on the operation, they walk through and do literally, it's a 96-point on-site diagnostic. And so when he says he's got the keys, that's all been wrapped up this morning, and we're ready to go and do some demos and get some business. This daily goal card sort of gets into with that salesperson or sales/drivers. Let's really help streamline their day. We actually load this in Vonago in our scheduling system so that we know who are they talking to. We already identified they have bins, where they are, who's that decision maker. Now let's go execute and convert them to a Ben Masters customer. And recapping that, Dennis highlighted, those keys to success. I'll hand it back to Dennis. I know he highlighted, what do top performers do across the systems? Go ahead, Dennis.
I love B2B. I do have some consumer brands, but out of the 10 franchise brands I've co-founded, 5 are executive-led mobile service brands tied primarily to B2B. And that really is focusing on the relationships with the customer, the interaction, the value proposition, and then, of course, retention, right, of the customer. In any business I've ever launched, if the franchisee hires a salesperson, that's wonderful. But if they can sell also, that obviously enhances. To have 2 foot soldiers versus 1, or at least 25, 50% of their time allocated to selling also, they're going to grow faster. It's just common sense. The system is there, been operating in Canada for 5 years, work the system every day, be focused on it, and of course, measure, results, and always be asking for referrals and references and celebrate wins like we just did. We got a truck delivered. That's a huge win for us. Second truck is on U.S. soil. We're really excited. And share your results with your team, and, work hard and repeat it. This business is very, very simple to understand. Again, I'm a KISS principle guy, not necessarily a SWAT guy, and focus on, becoming a selling organization. That's where it all starts. And that's where it stops if you don't. Can't have that mindset of, I'm in the sales business. Whether I'm selling or not, it doesn't matter, but driving the sales side of the business.
Excellent. Thanks. Well, Ben, we've done a lot of talking at you through this session. We'd love to hit any questions, and by all means, we'll schedule some follow-up, looking at territories, timing. What other questions might you have? You've got all the smart people in the room. We'd love to go deeper on anything you'd like to ask about.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It was very informative, very well done, and congrats on the truck delivery. I had a question about you mentioned the financing in place. I was under the impression that we would be leasing the trucks. Is there a difference? If I leased a truck, my understanding was it would be like a down payment on the lease, and then I have other startup expenses, which was less than 200, I think, as a cash option. Can you elucidate that difference between the financing and the cash option?
Yeah, so what I do on the 7A, that's the SBA 7A, is we bundle it, everything. Working capital, franchise fee, charger, truck acquisition, the compactor obviously built on. So everything is bundled into a single loan. And then you have the option to put 10% down, 20%, or more if you want. It's totally up to you, but it's not a lease environment. It'll be an owned truck at the end of the 10-year term, or if you buy it down, sooner, which, you know, a lot of people are thinking in those terms because they're not relying on the income of the business, and that'll be your option. But right now, we don't have a formalized lease program in place.
Okay,
The best way for us to go to market was with Citizens Bank.
got it. If as much as you're willing to elaborate, would you mind going over the ownership structure a little bit? Because I'm a little confused. You've got a company in France for a long time, and then you know, operating in Canada. It seems like there's Canadian owners up there, and then I'm talking to you guys. So what's the corporate structure?
Yeah,
Hugo,
so
you want to take that? Or you want me? Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'll talk about the PacMat side, and you can jump in for the Master Dennis. PacMat Equipment is a Canadian-owned company. One of the shareholders is PacMat France. It's a minority shareholder, but they're part. I mean, they share their experience and their manufacturing experience for us as well. So, and we decided to create the franchisor Bin Master. And this is when these guys stepped in, Sean and Dennis. Bin Master USA were actually a shareholder of this through Bin Master Canada. But it's mainly owned, Bin Master USA is mainly owned by Franchise Scale. Do you want to take it over, Dennis?
Yeah, I'll just take it. So you've got the French partner that's a minority shareholder in PacMat, but the ownership group of Bin Masters Canada and PacMat are the same principles. So when they approached us, so you've got the manufacturer, what we call the mad scientist, Hugo and his team, and you've got Bin Masters Canada, which is the franchisor in Canada. We built the U.S. franchise system based on the success of the Canadian operation and the franchise, and that's what. And they're shareholders in us also. Sean and I are the majority shareholders of the U.S. operation, and that's the entire ownership collective, if you will.
Okay.
And then ultimately, the throat to choke is Bin Masters USA is 80% U.S. owned, and our partners own the other 20%. So, and your CEO is Dennis, and in charge of ops is me. So it's direct contact, and we're just delighted to have, you know, PacMat and Bin Masters Canada as equity partners. Everybody has skin in the game and are really rooted in the success of everyone.
Great, thank you. I'd probably be going the hiring a salesperson route. Do you have any? I'm sure I can handle that, but do you have anything in place in terms of recruitment?
I can speak from my experience. Like we have there's something in Quebec that is required. It's called a CDL. It's the only place in North America that requires a CDL for a 26,000 pounds or less truck. So for a Class 3 trucks, so we have a mix of operators and salesmen, but the salesman needs to know how to drive. In the US, the fun part is you can find a very good salesman and teach him how to drive if he doesn't know how. So he doesn't have to wait for 6 months to get a license like we have to do in Canada. So I would definitely take the approach of having someone that is more on the sales side, and you know he can learn driving along the way.
Yeah, we'll train them on both components. Yeah, go ahead. Well, I'll give you another example. Erica Gerhardt in Minneapolis, she was in pharmaceutical sales forever. She'll be our next franchisee to open in June. She goes, oh no, I am the salesperson and I am the driver. She's going to start that way because she has a massive success in selling. But we know not everybody has that background, and that's why we love the hybrid, the salesperson driver. So we start looking for the salesperson and the drive. Because remember, you can wear a tuxedo and do the compactions in our trucks. You never get out of the cab. It's all automated. It's a joystick and a camera system. So that's where we'll focus. It's easier to find this, you know, it's easier for us to train a driver to become a salesperson than train a driver to become a salesperson. I think I said that right. I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and Ben, we use, and it's always at the tip of my tongue, a platform very much like a ZipRecruiter, but it's targeted by blue collar hires to help put out the job posting. We've got our job descriptions. We work with you to do comp bands and recommendations. We will help you in supporting of that. We always, in the franchise world, we have to maintain an arm's length distance in that employer-employee relationship, but we're there every step of the way to help you identify the right person. But first, help you look at those roles and those activities. So we're like, okay, what's that right fit for your particular instance? And then support you in that recruiting, in the hiring, training, and support. So even in that is, we're there hand in hand with you to find the right person.
Okay.
And that's the first right person, because we're going to scale, right? We're not built to just have a vehicle, right? It's scale. I think, like, Hugo, how many people is Paul up to?
Like we have 5 trucks, well, 6 because we have a spare, but yeah, we have 5 drivers right now.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and what's nice is that, once you, and this is kind of part of your question, once you consolidated a territory where you have a certain like a certain amount of revenues coming every month, you can put someone that is less on the sales side and put your good salesman to expand the territory, and put someone that probably is going to cost you less, but just do routinely his run of and optimizing his route of having these consolidated sales. That's what we tend to do. We have 2 very good salesmen that are just growing the business, and we put more regular drivers, pardon the term, but people that are less people to people. So, but they just like to come back. So it's a way to grow the business.
Okay, got it. Do I have time for a couple more?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
The rebates, I was a little confused on the amounts there. That the 40K you said was probably a certainty, but the federal and state is less certain.
Yeah, and Ben, I was remiss in getting that back out to you. When we look at, so we're working with Lion. Lion's got a great grants and rebates team, and to drill in on your particular area, I did get those details, and I'll send it back to you. It doesn't look like I've got state rebates right now in the state of Virginia. There are a couple of other options, but my understanding is come July 1st, they're releasing their new round. But and I'm waiting for more details on that. The challenge that we have with most of the rebate programs is from the federal DERA program. They've got to have a cute acronym for everything, but it has effectively an EPA-driven program. But they require scrappage so I'm scrapping an old diesel truck in order to get my new EV. And if I have scrappage, then I believe you have something like $80,000 of rebates towards your vehicle. So from your background, if you got a friend that's got an old diesel that we can scrap that's got useful life on it, let's go get that. It's a little work in the system, but it is the challenge. California right now is the only state that doesn't require have a scrappage requirement. So that's why we're able to get bigger rebates here in California.
Got it. Okay.
But you do have a 40K tax return in every state.
Yep.
Okay, so that's like a tax credit or something.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it. I did a little digging on Smash My Trash, and you guys have mentioned them a few times. There's one smack in the middle of where my territory would be. So I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on that. Whether the market's big enough, the product's better, so I should just move in and take them on, or should I look at a different territory, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the overt answer is let's go head to head, right? But we're also smart enough to see if they've got because part of it is to poach. Now, that's only really about 20% of the market is poachable. and we know we can come in, like we did that experiment in Tucson, where our compactions were like 40% better. The guy was blown away, the speed at which we did it. So we know we're going to be able to poach customers too, right? But the rest of the available market is so I don't think there's ever a reason, unless for some reason we found out that was their best operator in the country, and then, you know, he's got 20 trucks on the road or some, which we don't believe is true, but we can dig into that also to find out. But as of right now, we're mano a mano. I mean, we look at it that way because 80% is addressable in terms of new possible services. 20% has a recognized, or somebody's doing some compactions or have done compactions. So that's the way I look at the market. And these guys might be able to share more insight on it than I can.
Yeah, I'll go deeper. So every location that we're opening in right now has a Smash competitor. So Tucson, San Diego, Reno. Reno is a 2-vehicle Smash operation. I don't know how many are deployed in the others. So, you know, Sean McCaffrey up in Reno, he's just put in an Apple AirTag on their trucks to go and track and see where I'm joking. He's not.
No, I like that idea.
What we actually saw, and Hugo was there with us, in Tucson, existing Smash customers are actually the lower hanging fruit because they actually know what we do and they're using their service. And so I know, Hugo, you were there when I'm going blank on small manufacturer, went in, talked to him, already used a Smash. Smash was actually scheduled, I believe, to be there the next day. And he was like, all right, cool, go ahead, give it a shot. They let the manager of the facility run the compaction. It was just a really good guy. And I still owe him an extra large shirt. And so loves us, loves the solution. And then when he came out of that sample compaction, he did say, you know, the proof is in the pudding. You do have a better compaction than what I've historically seen with Smash. And I do really like, you know, we've got all these corporate theories about how we're going to reduce our carbon, et cetera. So, hey guys, if you can match their price and they charge me $175 per compaction, the business is all yours. So that was, you know, great because he already gets it. The other great thing was I thought the price in Tucson was $150. So when he says, hey, match it at $170, 75, like, no, I just got, you know, like a little margin improvement on that.
15%, yeah.
Yeah, so very, very similar. We went down to the big UPS distribution center and did demos there. And Smash was coming in that afternoon. And so, you know, that actually, I think that going back to Dennis's point, those 20% that already have Smash, they've opened the door. They've introduced who we are. We are a very new, nascent business model here in the U.S. So they've done that, broken down and done that education. I think it's good for us. It's the other 80% that don't know that what we do can be done and haven't ever used the services. I think that's the bigger opportunity. But anyway, long way of saying, you know, I would go head to head with those guys all day, every day.
And Sean, Smash was at 225 at that first customer we did, 225. It's amazing how they were expensive, but then I asked as a manager, okay, they keep raising the price on you, but you keep the service. So I mean, you're still making money. So yeah, at 225, I am still making money. We were planning on getting in like at 150. I mean, you have $75 of margin. You can even say like same price, but I'm fully electric. So you have a gain on your competition. Their equipment is more expensive. Their packer is made in Germany. I know like for a fact who they are. I even visited not the plant where they build it, but I saw them while I was in Germany once, and you know, you can get this product. There's like a year and something of lead time. So if you want to scale up and you have to wait for a year and a half, it's ugly. Us, we're 3 to 4 months. We're the only North American-based manufacturer. So this is another reason why we can cut down on pricing, because We don't export from Europe, so you don't a lot of traveling expenses, or I should say, shipping expenses are cut down. And I mean, we buy everything in North America, so prices are cheaper, but the product is better. So
Thank you.
And then I would encourage you, as we were talking about, we've secret shopped them, frankly, coast to coast. Feel free to shop them, right? And I'll even give you pointers on what to ask, how to position. But again, you've got the GC background. Give them your use case, right? That scenario. We're doing this project. What would it cost to be out there on a scheduled basis, on demand? And would again go head to head. So really want to help you do your homework as you go into market.
Okay.
and remember to tell them I'm twice as fast if it's not better. I'm gonna be here 5 minutes in and out. The Smash My Trash guy is gonna be there for 20 minutes.
Got it. Last question. Dennis, you had mentioned down the road building relationships with the haulers, and I was just wondering what you had in mind in those relationships, and what were you thinking of a buyout eventually, or some kind of pricing agreement, or what kind of strategies would you follow on that?
You're on mute, Dennis.
Well, we're doing it today in Canada, so you can talk about real world relationships with them.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, my AirPods died, so I had to go to the computer speaker. Yeah, why don't you start, Hugo, and then I'll talk about our long-term strategy, which I've done with other brands.
Sure. The type of relation we develop with, like thinking of the big haulers, Waste Management, Waste Connection, GFL, Republic Services are not in Quebec, so these big guys, they like us because we optimize their assets. We did have Waste Connection that were sending letters to their customers telling that they were not recommending our services, as they were afraid their containers would actually be damaged, but they would let like an excavator do it. So it's really because they were charging per trip, which is, they're called Enviro connections here. So you can have Enviro and charge per trip. But what's, your two greatest allies, or first one is the planet, because it's not going anywhere. I mean, pollution is pollution. And if you go against it, if you go against the environment, it's very not well seen, especially if you're a big hauler like that. And the second one, and maybe the most important one, is the customer, because Waste Connections are actually serving like hundreds of containers to the second largest construction company in Quebec called Geratech. And Geratech loves their services. And when they received a letter from Waste Connection, they called us and say, "Hey, we want to keep using your services. You're making us saving money. Our sites are better. It's less crowded. Can you have an alternative for us to recommend us?" And yes, we do. I mean, some small haulers and most big haulers will say, "Hey, just give her a name and we'll be there." But I actually didn't do that. We call Waste Connection to let them know that they were going to replace hundreds of containers by others. And all of a sudden, they send letters to say that the Bin Master service is recommended by Waste Connection. I'm even having lunch with them tomorrow. So, I mean, they're not going to have the last word. We're a small company, but they are against, I guess, public. They are against the customers. They are against governments. And, the Prime Minister of Quebec did come to see our products and recommended it during a TV show. So you can't be such a big hauler and go and bragging about you polluting and using a strategy to haul as much as you can. We're in 2024. So all these big haulers will end up joining you guys. I mean, they don't have any other options. Worst case scenario, we never play that card, but in the media, I mean, who's gonna want their name associated with you know, billing customers to pollute, because that's the end of the day. So short, just briefly, all the big haulers are with us right now. So small ones are reluctant, but you know, they're not there to stay. So
Well, and Ben, we don't have the scale today to go to the, a $12 billion company and say we can service you nationwide, right? So we got to start like I did with Junk King at a local level. Same thing with Flylock, which again is the nation's largest commercial locksmith and security integration company. We had one unit in Boston. Now we're the largest. We have over 600 technicians on the road. We've got Amazon, we've got everybody because we solve a pain point, right, in the marketplace. We see that as very similar here. It's more, and again, it's really an awareness of what the service is. And so, like in your case, we would focus on the big carriers also in your local market. That's part of what I talk about from a regional standpoint until we get bigger scale. Because at some point, like Amazon came to us at Flylock and said, we want uniform pricing nationwide now. You're servicing us in 30 states. We see that as an evolve here, absolutely. But we just don't. That's why I always told people, like another example. Sean and I live in the same town. It's called El Dorado Hills in Northern California. Our neighbor is the CEO of Waste Connections. I have been dying to talk to him. He knows people we know. We're all connected here, but we're just not quite ready, but we're getting there as we put trucks on the road because they'll do beta testing first, right? They're not going to roll something out and we can't cover the US, right? So we're going to look at those regional relationships with the big haulers that will grow and morph into when we add a truck, we could basically tell the new franchisee, hey, you've got 12 accounts. You're going to start with 12 accounts just based on that one relationship. That's how it is with my other service brands. It takes a little time to get there. We're not there yet, but they are in Canada, which is what we're going to see evolving here as we get more trucks on the road.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for your time.
Great questions.
Hey, you're
by the way.
welcome.
Love it. You love it because you're really
Well, great,
thinking
man.
about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Ben, I'm going to follow up with more insight on those rebates, and let's schedule some follow-up one-on-one time. I know
Okay.
you took a lot in today, so we'll also coordinate that. And no, we're here to help you. Hopefully, bringing our extended team to the table today was good, valuable, and insightful for you, and look forward to helping you ideally become a part of our Bin Masters team.
Excellent.
Thank
I
you
look
so
forward
much,
to hearing
Ben.
from you.
thank you,
Thanks,
Ben.
guys.
Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everybody.
Bye-bye.